The movie opens in Paris with Z, a highly skilled hitwoman known as the Queen of the Dead, who finds solace in the simple pleasures of her home life, caring for her goldfish Y and solving crossword puzzles. One day, she visits a desecrated, abandoned church and startles the doves nesting there. Soon after, she is joined by Finn, an Irish crime lord deeply entrenched in the drug trade. Finn proposes a new job for her, eliminating a group of gang members from Marseille who have been interfering with his operations. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to Inspector Say and his partner Jax, two police officers investigating a series of crimes and escalating violence in the city. They are hot on the trail of Coco, a drug dealer whose real name is Philip Hugo. They manage to intercept him, but as Say attempts to arrest him, Coco escapes, injuring Jax in the process. A high-stakes chase ensues through the streets, culminating in Coco taking a child hostage. Forced to act, Say shoots Coco, killing him. At the time of his death, Coco was listening to a demo tape by a young American singer named Jen Clark, which provides Say with a crucial lead for his investigation. Z later meets with Tessier, an elderly tailor who crafts disguises for her assignments. Observing his hand healing from an old injury, Z asks if the man who caused it has returned to harass him. Tessier confirms he has not, prompting Z to recall the drastic actions she took to ensure the man never bothered Tessier again. Donning a new disguise, Z sets off to complete Finn's assignment. The gang members from Marseille are partying at Club Paradis Latin, where the plot takes a significant turn. Z executes her mission with her trademark precision and cold-blooded efficiency, eliminating the gang members one by one amidst the chaos of the nightclub. However, things take an unexpected turn when Jen Clark, caught in the crossfire, slips, falls, and ends up with a shard of glass in her eye, leaving her blind. Despite her usual indifference to collateral damage, Z is unexpectedly moved by empathy for Jen. Rather than finish her off as she was instructed, Z makes a fateful decision to spare her life, a choice that sets off a chain of events that will dramatically alter her own fate. Later that night, Z returns to the desecrated church and lights candles for the men she has killed, drowning her guilt in alcohol. The following morning, Finn meets her there. She reports that the job is complete, but Finn is suspicious and questions why Jen was left alive. He insists that she finish the task and eliminate Jen Clark. During a tense work meeting, Inspector Say is questioned and reprimanded for his decision to kill Coco, despite his justification that Coco was holding a child hostage. Afterwards, Say meets with Officer Sydney from Europol UK, who updates him on the massacre of the Marseille gang at Club Paradis Latin. Sydney reveals that Jen Clark was Coco's girlfriend and directs Say to the hospital to find her for further investigation. Meanwhile, Officer Alvis informs Say that only one of the gang members died from a gunshot wound. The rest were killed with a samurai sword, further deepening Say's suspicions. This revelation shocks Say, raising questions about how such weapons were smuggled into the club unnoticed. Z fabricates a fake ID and adopts the disguise of a vice consul from the US Embassy, going by the alias Julene Noon. Using this cover, she infiltrates the hospital where Jen is recuperating, determined to finish what she started. As Z discreetly tampers with Jen's IV drip, Jen innocently asks her to call her mother, unaware of the danger she is in. Just then, Inspector Say arrives to question Jen about the nightclub attack, suspecting there's more to the incident than meets the eye. Although Jen's memory is clouded by the trauma, Say quickly grows suspicious of Z's identity and her presence at the hospital. During the interview, Z subtly knocks over Jen's IV drip, creating a distraction that prevents Say from probing further into the events at Club Paradis Latin. As they exit the hospital, Say confides in Z his doubts about Jen's fragmented memory. Tensions rise as Z narrowly avoids having her fake identity exposed. Moments later, Say receives a call from Carl Staley at the US Embassy, who confirms that there is no one named Julene Noon working there. Realizing Z's alias is a fabrication, Say starts searching for her, but she manages to slip away. Piecing together clues from her fake name, he deduces that Noon is a play on words as she is no one. At an art gallery, Finn meets with Jules Gobert, a powerful crime lord in Paris who is embroiled in a fierce battle to control the city's drug trade. Gobert discusses his recent business losses incurred from dealings with the Saudi Arabian prince, Majed bin Fahim. As Gobert's trusted enforcer, Finn is tasked with eliminating Inspector Say, who Gobert believes is meddling too deeply in the investigation of the Marseille gang murders at Club Paradis Latin. Say, meanwhile, meets with Prince Majed bin Fahim and questions him about his possible connection to the Marseille gang murders. During their conversation, Say learns about a large heroin shipment stolen from the prince. Majed claims that French customs officers ambushed his plane when it landed at Le Bourget, but he denies any involvement with illicit drugs. Say shows him photos of the Marseille gang members, but Majed does not recognize them and denies any connection to Jules Gobert, deepening Say's suspicions about what might have been stolen from his aircraft. Elsewhere, Z meets with Finn and learns of his assassin's replacements for the slain gang members. Finn questions her about her failure to kill Jen at the hospital, and she explains that Say's unexpected arrival forced her to change her plans. She attempts to defend Jen, arguing that she is an innocent civilian who couldn't identify the killer. However, Finn is adamant that Jen must die. He reminds Z of their history, recounting how he found her brutally beaten by the veteran, whom she later avenged by shooting multiple times. Impressed by her ruthlessness, Finn had then recruited her into his gang of assassins. Finn's men are dispatched to the hospital to finish the job and kill Jen. However, Z intercepts them by stealing a motorbike on the street. She catches up with their car, fighting the driver until he loses control, causing a violent crash on the streets. Z then speeds off towards the hospital to rescue Jen. At the same time, Say is at the hospital, visiting his injured partner Jax. Breaking protocol, Say shares a beer with Jax and updates him on the investigation's progress. Disguised as a nurse, Z sneaks into Jen's hospital room and warns her of the impending danger. She swiftly takes down the officer posted outside Jen's door, and the two women manage to escape the ward just moments before Finn's men arrive. Finn's men spot Z and Jen as they attempt to escape, prompting a tense shootout. Amidst the chaos, Z briefly crosses paths with Say, who recognizes her as a suspect. However, she manages to evade him once again and takes Jen back to her apartment to keep her safe. At the apartment, Z helps Jen adjust to her new surroundings and introduces her to her pet fish, Y. Meanwhile, Prince Majed meets with Jules Gobert to inform him about Inspector Say's recent questioning regarding the Marseille gang murders. Both are bewildered, as neither of them was involved in the killings, leaving them to wonder who now possesses their missing drugs. Distrust brews between the two, tensions escalate, and Gobert suddenly attacks Majed. A violent altercation breaks out. Gobert then orders Finn to enlist Z to eliminate Prince Majed as compensation for the lost heroin. Back at Z's apartment, Jen regains enough of her memory to recognize Z as the killer from the nightclub. However, instead of reacting with fear, she shows a strange sense of trust, perceiving a glimmer of humanity beneath Z's cold demeanor. Z, suspicious of Jen's connections, questions her about her involvement with Coco. Jen reveals that Coco, who managed her singing gigs, also used her to gain access to a building where she witnessed them hiding drugs stolen from Prince Majed's jet. Realizing that Jen is not entirely innocent, Z becomes furious and presses her for the location of the drugs, which Jen reveals are stashed in a van at a lockup in Paris. Z decides to take Jen to the deconsecrated church, intending to kill her. But when she orders Jen to sing, and she does, something within Z softens. She chooses not to kill Jen and instead fires her gun away from her. Moments later, Finn arrives, and Z reports that she has carried out the hit on Jen. Satisfied, Finn leaves, unaware that Jen is actually hiding in the church's confession booth, still alive. Say continues his investigation, but his progress is blocked by his superiors, who are wary of potential political fallout, particularly since some of the gangsters involved were corrupt police officers under Gobert's influence. Frustrated but undeterred, Say digs deeper. He discovers that the gunmen from the recent hospital shootout remain unidentified, leading him to another dead end. However, he uncovers surveillance footage showing Z at the hospital posing as Julie Noon and more footage of her entering and leaving Club Paradis Latin on the night of the Marseille gang massacre. A colleague recognizes Z as the Queen of the Dead and provides additional footage of her visiting her favorite takeout spot. Using this lead, Say tracks Z down and manages to arrest her. During the interrogation, they end up sharing a meal, and Say even assists Z with her crossword puzzle. During their conversation, Z divulges details about a past case involving Kennedy Larange-Rousse, revealing that she indirectly saved Say's life during a botched drug bust. This revelation adds complexity to their relationship, creating a mix of mutual respect and conflict. However, Z outsmarts the police and escapes from custody, returning to her apartment. At a high-profile function, Gobert confronts Finn about why Z has not yet carried out the assassination of Prince Majed as instructed. In a shocking turn, Finn betrays Gobert, having him killed by his assassin, thereby solidifying his position as the new crime lord of Paris. Finn then reveals himself as the mastermind behind the theft of the heroin, intending to use it to seize control of the Paris drug market for himself. When Z arrives at her apartment, she finds it in disarray. She quickly rescues her fish, Y, from its shattered tank and places it in a jug of water. Checking the CCTV footage, she discovers that Finn's men have kidnapped Jen. Shortly after, she receives a text from Finn requesting a meeting. Meanwhile, Say returns to his office only to find out that he has been framed by Finn for a drug trafficking offense, forcing him into hiding as his fellow officers hunt him down. Z takes Y to Tessier's shop, where she learns that Tessier has been pressured into spying on her if she shows up. Tessier agrees to care for Y and discreetly provides her with the contact information of a police officer seeking her whereabouts. Z meets with Finn, who shows her a video confirming that he has Jen captive. He tries to manipulate her into accepting a deal. If she kills Say, both she and Jen will be free to go. Realizing it is a trap, Z decides to stake out the location where Say is scheduled to meet Jax in the market. Anticipating that one of Finn's assassins will be there to kill her after she takes out Say, she sets up a decoy location to mislead them. During the meeting, Say explains to Jax that he has been framed and is innocent. Z, flipping the script, calls Jax and exposes him as a corrupt cop working under Finn. She instructs Jax to hand the phone to Say and then shoots Jax. Believing the mission is accomplished, Finn's assassin targets the decoy, confirming Z's suspicions. She swiftly retaliates, eliminating the assassin. With their common enemy now clear, Z and Say form an unlikely alliance. Say forces Jax to reveal the location of the stolen heroin before they drop him off at a hospital. They then drive off to retrieve the drugs and call Finn, using the heroin as leverage to arrange an exchange for Jen at an abandoned church. Upon arriving at the church, Z lights candles for the people she has killed, leaving Finn's candle burning, as she still intends to deal with him. Finn arrives with his gunmen and confronts Z, bringing Jen along and demanding to know where the heroin is hidden. Say, who is listening in on the conversation through a wire, plants a bomb inside the van containing the heroin. A violent confrontation breaks out between Z, Say, Finn, and his assassins, erupting into a chaotic blend of gunfire and close-quarters combat. In the midst of the melee, Say detonates the bomb, obliterating the stolen heroin and crushing Finn's plans to dominate the drug trade. During the intense struggle, Jen begins to miraculously regain her sight, adding yet another twist to the climactic showdown. As the battle concludes, Finn corners Z, ready to execute her. However, Z cleverly distracts him with a seemingly nonsensical question, buying just enough time for Say to slide her a hidden gun. Seizing the moment, Z grabs the weapon and fatally shoots Finn, bringing his reign of terror to an end. With Finn dead and the heroin destroyed, the deadly saga reaches its conclusion. Z visits Tessier, who tends to her bullet wound, while Jen is finally reunited with her mother, safe from the perilous game she was unwillingly drawn into. Watching from afar, Z reflects on the heavy consequences of her choices. Say, recovering in the hospital, is offered a promotion by his superiors, but turns it down. The movie ends with Z calling Say, hinting at her intention to abandon her life as an assassin and start afresh.